Welcome back. If you just joined us to watch the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos and Abuja. A reminder of our top stories this evening. President Jonathan orders immediate cancellation of immigration aptitude tests, gives 3 automatic slots to families of those who lost their lives in the stampede. Technocrats at the Nigeria Economic Summit Group frown at the decay and dwindling education standards, recommend proper funding and partnership with the private sector. Federal government nominates Justice Zainab Bukachua as president of the Court of Appeal. And Ukraine makes plans to withdraw its soldiers from the Crimean Peninsula. Read up details on our top stories on our website, ChannelsTV.com, and on YouTube.com/channelsweb. But to get us on the move, visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. Remember, you can download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. You can now interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap on the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow the instructions to share your reports, pictures, and your videos. The second session of the Nigerian Economic Summit ended today in Abuja with a focus on education and economic development. A keynote speaker, former Education Minister Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, stressed the recognition of education as a right and not a luxury, and the changes government needs to make for better learning. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports.
Of the Honorable Minister.
How about an encore? Day 1 of the program was described as a resounding success, and Day 2 had different speakers but the same theme, education and its importance to economic development in Nigeria.
In terms of access to education, we unfortunately happen to be one country contributing some 30 to 40% of children who should be in school who are out of school. That's a piece of data for you. In terms of rate of transition, that generally less than 50% of those who start off school, whether at the primary level or at the secondary level, transit to the next level in education. They fall through the cracks. It's basically.
Number 1, what? Character. Character first, then competencies. If you start with competency, you are in trouble. Because if you start by saying, I want the best IT man in my company, yes, he can do everything. He can do Oracle, he can do Microsoft, he can do somersault, everything. But if you're not careful, you are hiring a thief. Because when you are not looking, he's stealing. So character comes first, then competency, and then thirdly, chemistry. Can he work with others?
The platform, a meeting point for public-private sector cooperation, inevitably discusses the solutions as well as the challenges.
We are graduating kids who cannot read and write. Why is that so? Because the people running the system are corrupt. There is no way you can deal with this question of education and access and equity without getting down to the question of corruption.
Spend money on our children, spend money on our citizens, educate our people. Let us have outstanding men and women that can effectively grow the economy of Nigeria by spending on education.
That was the very idea behind the Nigerian Economic Summit. Established back in 1993 in the Ernest Shonekan-led interim administration to foster open and continuous dialogue for progress in economic development.
We need to begin to bring into the fold of advocacy for education, or bringing people to the forefront of education, our traditional and religious leaders.
Capitalize on the mothers, capitalize on the children, capitalize on the female teachers to make sure that we make a proper advocacy outcry on the importance of education, and most importantly, long-term importance of education, which these women or these communities completely lack.
Doubtless, the conversation on education's importance to Nigeria's economic development will continue in days, months, even years to come. But as espoused by some speakers and delegates here at this gathering, it is a right of every Nigerian to have access to quality education.
The fastest way to do a catching up now is to make early child care education, put it on the front burner of the education system. That the public sector and the private sector must work together in the kind of program. We put together a program called the Vocational Enterprise Institutions.
Therefore, it may not be an easy task ending the rot in the education sector. But if the words of the Vice President, Namadi Sambo, is anything to go by, which is that the presidency will pay attention to the outcome of this summit, then of course, the journey to a more promising sector has just begun. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
We're taking live now to Abuja, where my colleague Sulaiman Alede is standing by with the Singaporean leadership consultant, Mr. Victor Cole. Hello, Sulaiman.
Well, many thanks, Amarachi. I'm now being joined by Dr. Victor Cole. He is a senior leadership consultant at the International Leadership Foundation. And also you're an advisor and council member on the National Economic Council to the President of Kenya. Welcome to the News at 10. Well, we saw you there with the 3 C's. Quite a fantastic moment you had there in that whole character, competency, and chemistry. Away from all the problems, because it's been agreed that there is a problem in our education sector, and talking about partnership and giving it a feel of global competitiveness, what would be your solutions to what we have in our education sector now?
The solutions we've been contemplating in this summit is to address the crisis that have been identified. We are trying to transform education through partnerships so that we can be able to be competitive in this global economy. One of the first solutions we need to think about is to make sure that our people being educated in our system, given the right moral foundation. Because at the end of the day, the purpose of education is to teach people how to live. And then secondarily, to teach them how to make a living. But if we do not pay attention or we deviate and depart from the first, then we are eroding the basic moral foundation for our people. Then we create a generation that are so focused in learning how to make a living that they become economic animals. So education, from primary all the way to tertiary, we must not forget that educators have a responsibility to inculcate values and character.
As a Singaporean, is that any kind of example Nigeria can learn from Singapore?
One of the things that branded Singapore in the business community is a place where business people deal based on integrity. Business people will come to Singapore, even from African businessmen, to buy, for example, raw materials like palm oil and rubber. They can easily go to Malaysia or Indonesia directly and buy from the producers, which is much cheaper. but they trust Singapore because when we give them the quality and the price, they get what they ask for.
If we bring integrity, trust into fixing the education problem in the country, maybe from the leadership, you say that can actually sell.
Yes, it's very important that we put that into the DNA of the business community. And these young people that are being educated in our system, they join the business sector of our society. And so for us to be globally competitive, people must sense and feel that Nigeria is a place where they can trust. When they do business, they are dealing with business people of integrity. So we need to, that's why this moral foundation is very important. And secondly, we need to be relevant in our educational system. That means are they being educated in such a way that they are marketable? Are they employable? You don't want them to get into, when they come out of school and find out that they are not properly equipped and trained. And the other area that if you want to compete in the global economy, we need to be responsive. In other words, like in Singapore, we will constantly scan the horizon, where the world is going, the mega trends in industrialization. For example, when the computer age came, we were ready for it. We have trained our people so that when they graduate, they are able to take up jobs in computer manufacturing, hard disk manufacturing. We had the technicians ready.
A whole lot there. Dr. Victor Cole, would like to thank you so very much for finding time to join us on the News at 10. He is Senior Leadership Consultant at the International Leadership Foundation and an advisor and council member, National Economic and Social Council to the President of Kenya. You're more like an African, isn't it?
Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Amarachi, in Lagos.
Thanks a lot, Sulaiman. Well, back here in Lagos, trial continued today at the Federal High Court with the testimony of a third prosecution witness in the case of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission against former Aviation Minister Femi Fani-Kayode. Mr. Fani-Kayode is facing a 40-count charge of laundering about 100 million naira. The offence was allegedly committed while he served first as Minister of Culture and Tourism and then as Aviation Minister. The witness, Mr. Bashir Abdullahi, who is an investigating police officer with the EFCC, told the court today that the case file of the former minister was assigned to him in 2008 for investigation, during which Mr. Fani-Kayode was invited to the EFCC, where he made various statements in writing regarding the 19.5 billion naira Aviation Intervention Fund. Under cross-examination, the witness told the court that the EFCC's investigations revealed that no part of the funds was missing during the tenure of the former aviation minister. Justice Rita Ofili Ajimogobia has adjourned the case to April the 16th and 17th for continuation of trial. But when the News at 10 returns, two United States lawyers seek repatriation of Abacha's loot to Nigeria. That's in Business News. To join us again.